Okay, here was the example that I did in live chat that I wanted to see if there was actually a difference that presidents tend to be taller than their main opponents. And you could actually find, and in fact, you're going to have to do it on your homework. Let me, for your blind teacher, zoom this in. If you want to find, first of all, the differences, you're simply just taking the height of the first president minus the height of the second president. And then I could copy this straight across. And then if I want to find this mean difference, how do you find the mean? Average. And I will highlight those values. And then if I want to find the standard deviation of the differences, I could find the standard deviation. Okay, so and then from here, this is where I said that you could manually find the value of t. So let's go ahead and put in. Oh, I guess I didn't put my fix this. Standard deviation, standard deviation. I just like to label everything so I don't forget what it is. And then my sample size was 5. So I could manually find my test statistic by taking the mean difference minus, there is no difference in the null. Notice open parentheses, the standard deviation over the square root of the sample size. Okay, so this is what you saw me manually do in the live session, which I'll just bring and put right here so you can kind of see. This is if you want to do it manually. Okay, and so that's finding my test statistic. And so now from here, I could find, and let's put t test statistic. I can find my critical value, if I could spell critical. I'm not sure that that's even right. And I typically like to go ahead and put my alpha over here, which was 0.05. And also, let's say we could find our p-value. Okay, so the critical value I could find by t.inv. This is not a two-tail. Okay, so two-tail would be where the alternative would be not equal. So it says give me the probability, the degrees of freedom, sample size -1, and I get a negative. Now the only thing you have to be careful of, because this was a right tail test, that really should be positive. So you could either put the absolute value because you know it's positive. I tend to do that here, the absolute value of this number, just so I know if this was two-tail, you know, I'd have a plus and minus, but in this case, that's the only value I care about. All right, and so then I could find the p-value, which is based off the test statistic, the probability that I actually believe them. So it's a right tail test. It wants my x, which is my test statistic. It wants my degrees of freedom, which is my sample size -1. And all of this is the same information we got in the live session tonight. Now, I mentioned in the live session, if you go to data and you do not see data analysis right there, then you need to install it. Okay, so some of you may have really had no reason to install it and you didn't install it. So when I click data analysis, then I look here and t-test paired, because these are paired dependent. I say, okay, I select my heights of my presidents. I select my heights of the main opponent. My hypothesis mean difference, there is no difference. I did select the labels. If you only selected the data, excuse me, you wouldn't have to check that. My alpha 0.05. Where do I want to output my results? I don't know. That looks good right there. So I click back to go back and I click OK and I get everything here. So notice these values match what I did manually. So it's just very quick and easy. The only part though on your homework is you are going to have to find your mean differences and the standard deviation, and that they don't give you that in this output, so that you'd have to find manually.